Cloudy skies. Let's see. Hey, Maui.
us the money. I am justified in my action to make them pay me. I'll do them a favor.
I
Start
am.
paying me next week. And he's right. He's actually completely right.
And I know you told me
I just don't know, mate.
you put this together, and yet then you come back and you change it up with the tariffs. And you said to me at that time, I did it because I can't.
What a beautiful word, tariff.
I put an amendment in. In 6 years, I can change it. But I think CEOs want to see predictability. They say, look, I have to speak with shareholders. I've got to make plans for CapEx spending. I can't if it's 20% one day and then it's off for a month and it's 25%.
Yeah.
So can you give us a sense of whether or not we are going to get clarity for the business community?
Well,
That's a good question. I think ultimately something important to note is Canada's been tariffing the United States hundreds of percent on milk goods, and I think it's 270% on milk and cheese and chicken and stuff like that. It's pretty important to note that all that shit is happening. Very important to note that that is something that's been going on for years that no one's ever been talking about, because for some reason, since America is successful and shit, America needs to always pick up the slack when Canada's fucking around, and I think that's enough of that shit. Literally enough of that. Without a doubt, enough of that.
I think so, but the tariffs could go up as time goes by, and they may, I don't know, predictability.
It's not clarity.
No, I think that they say that. It sounds good to say, but for years, the big globalists, have been ripping off the United States. They've been taking money away from the United States, and all we're doing is getting some of it back, and we're going to treat our country fairly. This country has been ripped off from every nation in the world.
Oh my God.
Everybody outside in the world, we've been ripped off at levels never seen before, and all we're going to do is get it back. We're going to get a lot of it back. We're not going to let people take advantage of us anymore. I believe that
There's a moderation channel.
meaning that whole ideology, Kamala and Biden and Obama, that whole group of people.
The orgy of chaos, I like to call them. They are the dark orgy, not because of their skin color. I'm the best president for black people since Abraham Lincoln, but the dark orgy, as I call them. That's what we call them, the dark orgy. They are dangerous. All they want is pedophile rings and shit.
If they had won, I don't think we would have had a country any longer. I think this was somebody said it the other day, the most consequential election in 129 years.
I love when he does that. It's so funny. It's like, I saw someone else say it, not me. I wouldn't say something like this personally. I'm too humble. Someone else said
It's just whatever that.
election of all time. Honestly, they say I don't say it. Other people say it. I don't say it. Other people say that I am the greatest ruler since Julius Caesar. Other people say it. I don't. I wouldn't go there.
Whatever. Don't worry about it.
Dude, it's crazy. One tweet, he just goes off, glazes himself. Oh my God, that's crazy.
If they would have won, I don't think we would have had a country. Not only
Let's see, we got
won a
that.
swing state. Remember, I was watching your show just before the election. You were talking about.
We
I think
got.
he's gonna
Okay,
win
so
swing
that one's
state.
set up.
Every swing state, all the popular vote. Look at the man.
Okay, let's go to Dino.
Tweet, Donald's cock is bigger than any other cock. I mean, he mentioned it. He said that.
Oh my God, Nux. Oh my God.
And I was like, wow, he's actually right. I wasn't going to bring that up altogether.
We won all 7, and
Yeah.
we won the popular vote by
Bro
millions
does
of
not
votes.
miss an
The number of
opportunity.
counties by 2,500 to
shit.
500. 2,750 to 500, and it's amazing. The map is all red.
Which is why I was surprised at the Democrats' behavior the other night, because you delivered among the most diverse, expanded audience. Republicans, Democrats, Independents. So is it just the Democrat leadership that does not see that?
I'll be honest. I think there's 3 groups of people in the United States. I think they're the audience captured right, the audience captured left, and then just general people that make decisions based on information that they see. And to use these terms easier, I think it's the woke right, the woke left. Those are the people on the extremes. None of their opinions will ever change. If you ask the woke left, the only thing that's important is billions of genders, all sorts of ideology. All women need at least 3 breasts in order to truly be women. That's a random gender euphoria bullshit. On the woke left, on the woke right rather, What is woke right? Okay, so in my opinion, the woke right are the people that are like, the Illuminati are all secret Jews that are controlling the world, and everyone is mind controlled by the Jewish Illuminati that is literally manipulating everyone on the planet. I think that's the woke right. And then you got the 90% or the 80% of people in the center. All right, those 80% of people, I think right now are largely focused on are much more on the right side right now, because to be honest, women, trans people in female sports. I think any normal human being on the planet would actually fully think that that's retarded to have trans people in women's sports. The reason why there's differences between men and women's sports altogether is because men and women cannot compete in the same fucking group. So I do think that as an example, your 80% of people that are in the center are all going to agree that trans people in women's sports is retarded. Now, that all said and done, you're going to have your 10% on the woke left that are going to somehow think that makes sense. Now, on the flip side of things, you got all vaccines are bad. Literally every vaccine is bad, right? That's a woke right thing to say, honestly. And I think that 80% of the people in the middle ultimately do tend to think things through to some degree and be like, wow, actually, it turns out there are some actually basic bitch things that we could talk about.
There's something wrong with them. It's just something.
And I think he is talking about that woke left, like the people that are so audience captured on the left that there is absolutely nothing you could say to change their mind at all about literally anything ever. Trump is Hitler. Elon's a Nazi. He did a salute. We saw it happen. They're killing trans people. Like, this is the audience-captured left that will never have their opinions changed. They're actually retarded. And that's what he's talking about right now. And I truly, fully believe that this is a group of people that exist. And for some reason, there were so many of them in power for so long. It's mind-boggling. And the pendulum is shifting right to the other side. Because, and then you got the people on the woke right say that there are lizard people running the government.
Crazy.
Right? Like, that is such a much smaller minority than what the woke left has actually had as a stranglehold on literally all of America for the last 4 years.
I can't even believe it. They lost an election in a landslide. They were talking about men playing in women's sports.
He knows that that's retarded. He knows that any normal, sane person, even on the left, right, sane leftists, think that transgender people in women's sports is retarded. And in my opinion, that's just a hill that people will die on forever. They need to prove how virtue signaling and woke they are, where they play the actual victim Olympics. And the more victimized a group is, the more power they should get.
I looked the other night, I made a speech. The Republicans were going wild, and the Democrats were having their little signs up. Their little signs, their little tiny signs. And I said, it's unbelievable. They don't get it. They don't get it now. And I think they're going to end up being a minor party if they keep going like this. Because
he's right! Oh my God, he's literally right! Bro, they're actually getting so cooked. And it's so crazy to think about this. He's literally right.
People don't want to hear about these stupid ideas that they have. Transgender for everybody. And again, sports, what is that, a 90 to 10 deal? I don't even know.
Literally use the exact same numbers that I used. It's so obvious and basic, but they literally died on these hills. They're like actual hills that they had no reason to die on these hills, but they still found a way to do it. They impaled themselves, and then they blamed Trump. It's like the meme where you get the guy that shoots the dude on the couch. Meme shoots couch. All right, let's see if I can find this shit. If I find this, that would be incredible. Like, this is literally what they do. All right. So it's like, here you have this meme. Here you have Democrats. Here you have Democrats. And then they say, why would Trump do this? Like, this is literally what we're living through. This is literally what we're living through.
I know who the 10 would be, but they're fighting for it. And I try and say to myself, because you always like to understand where your opponent is, whether it's in business or anything else. Is there something I don't understand?
But you can't understand because it's so insane.
But we don't understand it.
No, it makes no sense. The party got so audience captured and so ideologically, emotionally blackmailed into virtue signaling their pants off. It got to the point that they're fighting for indefensible positions. And they wonder why they lost. How did Trump win. It must be the racists in the country. Also the Democrats.
Their theories on tax. You know, all my life I've watched politics. I've always liked it. I've watched it. I've participated, but from the standpoint of a donor. But I participated. And all my life I've watched politicians. We will cut your taxes. We will cut your taxes. These people say we're going to raise your taxes. It's the only time. I've never heard it. They say it even if...
Trump's like, socialism, that's retarded. That's what he's saying right now in slightly different words. And honestly, it makes a lot of sense. What can I say? I agree. I'm not a big fan of socialism.
They don't mean it. We will cut your tax. These people say that we're going to give you the biggest tax increase you've ever had.
That they do. That was their whole thing. Again, I told you, like, you could literally see it so obviously, right? The Democrats in the last election are so anti-Trump that when Trump says something that makes sense, they will take the opposite side just to be against Trump. Trump could be like, we'll lower your taxes, and the Democrats will shove a stick in the spokes of their bicycle and be like, well, we're gonna raise your taxes. Damn, Trump is pretty Hitlerish today. And then they wonder why they're getting absolutely annihilated.
And that's what they're running on. And I tell Republicans, take that night, because that was a great night. You got record ratings. You saw that. The highest rated speech ever of its kind.
I love it when he does this.
Take that night.
That's not what I say. I don't say any of that. That's what they said. And I agree. What they said made a lot of sense.
Right? And run your midterms on it. And show us I'm talking about some young child with cancer or some young,
he's so
beautiful girl like Laken Riley who was killed, and they don't get up. And they don't salute the mother who's there devastated.
Literally, you got illegal immigrants murdering Americans, and they don't stand up, but they stood up for Ukraine. It's like, where are your priorities? For your people or for people across the world?
Nungary, they don't get up, and they don't salute the mother who's...
To be honest, they should have stood up in both, just being real. This just goes to show how insane the priorities actually are.
Child was devastated. I mean, brutally killed. The young boy with cancer that wants to be a cop, and they don't get up and salute that child. They not only don't get up, they're angry. And the only thing that happened that was interesting really about it was that when I mentioned Ukraine and people being killed, they started clapping. And that clap was led by Pocahontas.
I saw what you said, and I want to ask you about Ukraine and the blow-up the other day with Zelensky. Let me stay on the economy for a moment, because there are rising worries about a slowdown. You've got the Atlanta Federal Reserve saying we're going to have a contraction in the first quarter. Look, I know that you inherited a mess, and you said that the other
I've only
night.
been here for
Are you expecting a recession this year?
Bro's been there for 6 weeks. Literally 6 weeks. Oh my God. It's a war. It would never have started if I was president. I'm just saying, you know what's happening.
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time. But I think it should be great for us. I mean, I think it should be great. It's going to be great ultimately for the farmer. You know, don't forget, I made the deal with China on the farmers where they had to buy $50 billion worth of product. $50 billion from 15 to 50.
Did they
and it was
follow
great.
up and do it?
They did it when I was president. What happened is when Biden was president, they didn't buy any longer. Yeah, because there was nobody to call them. I used to call President Xi. I said, you got to do me a favor. You got to, live up to that agreement.
Dude,
and
Biden didn't talk to anyone. All right? The only information we have about Biden in regards to his Ukraine dealings is the fact that Zelensky annoyed Biden, and Biden lost his temper talking to Zelensky. That is the only information we have on Biden's actual conversations with other leaders. Trump is so upfront about literally everything. China, China, I know China. China loves me very much. I don't say it, they say it. They're like, wow, Trump is so great. And I was like, I know I am. China, China.
Great, he did.
Before you came into the Oval Office the first time, you were a very successful businessman, very successful.
Honestly, I think that's the biggest telltale sign that Trump is actually better for the job than most of these pundits. It's the fact that he doesn't come from a background in politics, and he does come from a background in business. The fact that Elon is also a businessman and not a politician, I think it's such a wildly massive green flag. And for some reason, that means that they're not fit for the job for some reason, because retards think politicians are better because they have more years of figuring out how to lie and game the system or something.
Real estate executive, and a lot of people said, oh, this is the business president. This is it. He's watching the stock market.
It's true. China would have never happened if I was president. If I was president, China would have never existed. It would have been United States too. That's what we would have called it. But unfortunately, we had weak men, weak people in office when China became.
He knows all about, he doesn't want the market to go down. And now we've got tariffs and the market has been going down.
Well, not much. I mean, in all fairness.
You said, look, we're going to have a disruption, but we're okay with that. Is that what you meant? The stock market going down was the disruption? What other disruption were you alluding to?
Look, what I have to do is build a strong country. You can't really watch the stock market. If you look at China, they have a 100-year perspective. We have a quarter. We go by quarters.
That's true.
And you can't go by that. You have to do what's right. What we're doing is we're building a tremendous...
Yeah, look, I think the stock market dropping is obviously shitty, but it's definitely a shitty thing to happen. But realistically, it always goes up and down. It literally always goes up and down. I don't know how you could... I don't know how you could say that Trump is bad because the stock market went down a little bit when the stock markets literally always go up and down. It's the same thing with the egg thing. Like, egg prices are 12 cents more expensive than they were in 2023. All right? Over the last 2 years, egg prices went up by 12 cents. Now you see every Democrat on the planet literally bitching and crying about egg prices when Biden was the guy who killed 150 million chickens. But then again, I guess Democrats bitching and crying is also the natural order of things, just like, the ups and downs of the stock market.
Tremendous foundation for the future. Tremendous foundation. Everything's been taken away. We don't make ships anymore. We don't, you just saw one of the biggest shipbuilders in the world, one of the biggest shipping people in the whole world.
In the Oval Office with you.
In the Oval Office. He's announcing a $20 billion investment in the United States, which he would have never done except for this. But look at this. Honda, Toyota, they're all coming in. You take a look at what's happening. The chip maker, the greatest chip maker, Mr. Wei, the biggest in the world by far, is going to spend $200 billion on making a massive plant to make chips.
So that's your message? Build it here?
Build it here, there's no tariff.
Yeah.
Okay, and everyone is literally losing their mind and getting upset. So Canada, I would show you this on Twitter, but Twitter's actually down right now. Elon probably working overtime doing some shit. But right now, as it speaks, Canada replaced their prime minister with this goober, unelected. This is an actual dictator, by the way, okay? He is not elected. He was just kind of replaced the other guy. I didn't even listen to his new speech yet. This guy has 100,000 votes out of 10 million people. That was a joke. Out of 40 million people, it's worse, all right? This guy had 100,000 votes out of 40 million people, and somehow he's the de facto prime minister of Canada because it's an actual dictatorship, all right? The replacement guy pulled a Kamala Harris because that
What I
worked
want
so
to
well in
know
America,
is how the
reason,
fuck you got in 2.1K servers and your fucking bot does not work? How the fuck you gonna make a bot that doesn't work? I guarantee if I add this shit right now, it's gonna be offline. Because I guarantee the last time I used it, it was offline. Look at this shit. Look at this. Offline. It don't work. It don't work at all. How the fuck you gonna make a bot that don't work? Like, come on. Hmm. You wanna know what's weird? I hate these cringy intros. Y'all should not be making these fucking cringy intros. Just like be like, hey, this is a Discord bot. Here's what it does. Bang, bang, boom. And then here's my outro, being like, hey, if you guys want, thank you for using We Are Already in 129K. That's what it should be. No fucking cringy intro at all. So not worth watching. Should be like, welcome to the Pokemon bot. It does this, 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 and that. Here's how to set it up. Here's what you do in case of an error. Done. Seriously? Oh my god. Not adding that bot. Hmm. What should I add? No, thank you. Just still use the old shit. That's fucked up. Guess we're not using it then. It's not worth it if it doesn't work properly.